Hello, hello, hello.
All right.
Yes. They wanted me to go ahead and start, Candace. They wanted me to start without you. I said, we got to stop and start with Candace. The show cannot start without Candace. Mike
Vic,
said, "Come up, Candace. Throw Candace under the bus. I got this. I'm the disruptor."
Right. Hey, that's what I always say. That's right. I don't tell you what he really said about you, Candace. I ain't gonna tell you what he really said about you.
I'm not gonna believe that Vic said anything bad about me.
Well, he didn't say no bad. He just, I could just tell it from his body movements what was going on. He was like this. Yeah, baby. Yeah. Well, one minute, I'm on.
Candace. I skimmed over some of the articles that you sent out, man.
Right.
Your boy. Man, we you know what, folks? We are marching towards fascism. We are marching towards fascism.
We are in the midst of fascism. I think this is one of the problems.
We're marching, but the steps are quickening. The pace is quickening now, right? We already knew this, right? But we're
right.
marching towards fascism, man. Right?
Well, no, I'm saying we're already there. I'm
saying that it's increasing. It's increasing.
Right.
We're definitely there, and I think even today I saw one of.
So let me ask you a question.
I saw one.
Let me ask you a question.
They had a post up, a black guy, and he had a post up talking about black people for Trump and blah 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 blah. And when I asked him, because I posted the thing about about what happened in Portland with them, whisking people off in the middle of the night, and and they're them being in unmarked gear, police you can't identify, and them just whisking people off. And I posted, and he posted it with this symbol, the little hand symbol. And I asked him, I said, well, what does that even mean? He's like, well, if they're terrorists, they deserve to be treated like terrorists.
Oh, no, he didn't. No, he didn't.
And he was calling them the fascists. So
it was Antifa. No, it was Black Lives Matter, that terrorist group, right?
He was calling them Antifa. He wasn't calling them fascists. He was calling them Antifa. And I'm thinking, you guys don't even know what Antifa means, apparently. Because you shouldn't be saying that. So
exactly.
I don't know. Can you hear me, Vic?
I can hear you.
Paul, I don't know what you're talking about, Finn.
What's that?
I don't know. Paul saying my mic is there.
Now I can't hear Mike though. I can't hear Mike now.
That's his mic is muted.
He's muted.
Okay. So how about now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Unfortunately.
Okay, but I'm getting a little feedback. I don't know if that's my phone or Candace or what. Can you all hear me?
Yeah,
I can hear you.
Okay, like the rap group said, I shall proceed. So listen,
I shall proceed.
What we're dealing with now, and you talk about in the midst of fascism, we've got the people snatching folks off the streets, right?
Right.
The brown shirts and black garb snatching people off the streets, never to be seen again. They'll be in Guantanamo Bay, or they'll be down south on one of those kid prisons we have on the border. That is something easily understandable, and we know what's happening, right? Then on top of that, we talk about the biggest detriment to this country right now, the coronavirus. And the CDC has not been allowed to get information from that. I mean, so that's what fascists do. We are in the midst of fascism when you send the information to your buddies and friends so they can literally whitewash it and do double speak. We're in the midst of that. And I don't care what anybody says. Listen, I got a ban from a Facebook guy who decided to be my friend. I didn't friend him. And he put out some nonsense about testing and about people healing from the coronavirus naturally and not taking the vaccine. And all I did was respond. He said 99% of people will be cleared of the vaccine, blah, 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 blah. So why should we do ABC? And I was like, well, 99% of the people didn't get polio, but the 1% that did, there were devastating effects. So we all took the polio vaccine, right? So he blocked me because he's busy espousing nonsense day after day.
Okay, but this is the thing. He's doing all of this stuff so that and by the way, Jeffrey joined us. He didn't do that. But he's doing
Candace, you got a lot going on in the background.
You sound kind of muted a little bit, Candace. Your voice sounds kind of muted a little bit.
I'm not sure what's going on with the mic. How about now?
All right, Candace, you got to get in a better spot.
Yeah.
There's nothing. I'm in the same spot and everything.
You still sound a little bit muted.
We hear a bunch of,
Can you hear me?
you got a bunch of stuff in the background. Something's going on. But what I'm saying is, all right.
But here's the point. Actually, Mike, to your point, to the point that we opened up with about America drifting towards fascism, we've really been on this course at least since, I would say, the 70s. That's a very conservative estimate, probably from the 60s onward, right? I'm just saying that we're ever so quickening the pace. The pace is being quickened. And when you look at what's going on in Portland, this is, as far as I'm concerned, a prime example of what is referred to as systems persistence or systems maintenance. Because look at America, the nation state, as a system. It's a system that has a series of systems that exist within the system. You have the political system, the social system, the judicial system, the economic systems, all these different systems. And what systems seek to do is to maintain the status quo. Systems are very slow to change. This is what we're seeing here. Also, remember, though, here's my point. Here's my final point, and I'll open it up for discussion here. Remember, a few weeks ago, Trump said that he learned a lot from Richard Nixon. So the rhetorical question is, what happened under Richard Nixon with regard to civil rights groups and more specifically the Black Panthers, right?
Sure.
So we're at this place where history is going to play itself all over again because you have a variety of different elements that are primed and posed to engage one another. And we'll see how it'll turn out.
But I don't think that we're at a point where they're trying to maintain the status quo. Is my volume better?
No, systems always do that, though. I don't think that. See, here's my point, Candace.
Wait, no. What I'm asking is my mic any better? Can you
certain
hear me?
segments of the population are for the status quo, right? But systems always practice systems persistence and systems maintenance. They always
this is the thing. This is the thing.
One more point. Let me make one more point here. Because you always hear people say this, right? Who work in government, who are leaders of government in industry. They'll say, I'd rather have this person or those persons pissing out of the tent as opposed to pissing inside of the tent. What does that mean? What it means is that when you look at the civil rights movement, the system made a room or space for a certain number of African Americans, certain number of women, certain number of Latinos, certain number of Native Americans to be absorbed within the system for the good of the system, right?
But hold on.
Systems are always looking to maintain the status quo, and when they change, they change very slowly. They change very slowly. Now it's our job to persist in terms of challenging the system, but the system is going to do what the systems always have done and will continue to do.
Well, what I'm saying is the system isn't working for them anymore, right? So since the system isn't working for them, hold on, let me finish.
My point is that systems will make adaptations. The systems will make adaptations, right? Because of that.
I don't disagree with that. I totally agree with you about the systems course correcting, right? And that's what systems do. But because the system is perceived to be working for Black people and people in general right now, they have to break the system. This is where Trump comes in. He learned from Nixon that you got to break the system. They weren't ready to do it then. They just, like you said, they brought in a few Blacks, did this, but we are overwhelming the system in their mind. And so I'm going to equate this to neighborhood. I got on my shirt today, Main Street Matters. I'm going to equate this to neighborhood. Whenever you have a neighborhood that's 100%, the neighborhood starts to tilt when you only get 10% black, not 20% black, not 30% black, because the perception are at that point, if there's 10 white folks in that neighborhood, if one black moves in, there goes the neighborhood, 10%. So even if just 10% of us are on TV and in part of the system, working through the system, they look at the system as it needs to be revamped and thrown apart. Now, you got these crazies with Trump, and I've had some discussion with them online this week. You've got these crazies with Trump who are drinking the Kool-Aid. They want to break the system because the perception is there goes the neighborhood. And so, and if you don't believe that, Trump has just this week identified that we're going to be burning down the suburbs. He didn't say the cities because he can talk about cities all day. We are S-hole countries or S-hole cities. But now he's trying to get the suburban whites that he's losing in droves, white women, white progressives. He's losing them. So he's trying to bring them back with fear. And that Main Street matters for all. And we're losing a portion of that right now because the system is, it's course correcting, but they don't want the system to be course corrected and to be regular like it used to be.
Mike, there's a concept that they're using. There's a concept that certain persons within the Trump administration adhere to that's referred to as the fourth term. So you have to go all the way back to Steve Bannon, who was Trump's senior advisor, right? And really, essentially, and I agree with certain of the points that you're making there from a general standpoint, because Steve Bannon was saying that what they wanted to do was to turn the system on his head, right? Because they felt the course that the system, as you said, was traveling down was not the course they wanted the system to travel down. Therefore, they're upending everything in terms of health care, in terms of any number of social net policies, safety net policies, and things of that nature as well. So I agree with you in that regard, absolutely. But the philosophical worldview suggests that periodically what happens in American society is that America is going through a transformative period, right?
Right.
So what they want to do is to set the course or right the ship, so to speak. But it also means that there's a certain degree of upheaval, social upheaval, political upheaval that must take place.
Yeah, I agree with that, because what they're doing now is they're settling themselves. They're getting all the banking, all the corporations and the companies. They're giving them tons of dollars now. You can't even count the money. And you can't count the money because those systems that were in place, they have people supposedly counting, being whistleblowers. He's blowing all that up so he can give money to his buddies and friends so they can fund their defundment or their breaking of the country.
So
they want to break America.
Real quick, because I guess what I'm trying to understand is, how does he still have such a strong support base? And you all can argue and say, oh, because it's white people that's thriving on racism, but I keep telling you, I'm seeing black people, young black males that are in complete support of Trump's behavior, that are in complete support of him, they're acting as if they don't see that he's turning this into a dictatorship. So how do you explain that support? Those people the fact that he's taking medical records and saying, don't show anybody but me. The fact that he is withdrawing us from the World Health Organization. The fact that he's alienating us from the rest of the world. And you have other countries who are saying they won't accept American passports. They won't accept Americans into their country. And so and then he's blatantly being as racist as all get out, being divisive as all get out. But you have young black males who are supporting him. I saw someone today put up a post about, in their support of Trump. And this was a young black male. And there's nothing you can say to this man. This is a grown man over the age of 30. Nothing you can say to him. Every time you point out something about Trump, this guy will tell you Fauci was the problem. Fauci was making him look stupid. This guy will tell you that WHO didn't give him the proper information. This guy has said that he's okay with citizens being snatched off the street by unmarked, unidentifiable agents working for whatever entity, because not even necessarily the police. He says he's okay with that because people are being terrorists. He said you have the fact that his family is sitting up there and they're marketing Goya beans from the White House on taxpayer dimes. He He's okay with that. So my thing is, stop making it seem like, okay, this is just working, and he's just got white people involved. My question is, what about the black people? He even has Hispanic people and Latina people who, those are, their children in those cages, and they're still supporting him. How do you explain that?
You raised some great points there, Candace. Mike, let me say this. And immediately as Candace was posing that question, I was reminded of a conversation that we had on the show going back a couple of months ago. I think that, Candace, some people just want to be on the team. So some people say that I'm an American citizen. Yeah, we are American citizens. And I'm not just going to be a Democrat. I'm going to embrace republicanism, because remember that there is a legacy of black republicanism in American society. And there is a legacy of conservatism in black America. However, I would suggest that what we're seeing now is something that has morphed beyond mere conservatism and black republicanism.
That's one of the arguments that this guy tries to use. He goes, you all want to be, he goes, you all want to be Democrats like they didn't start the KKK. And I'm like, first of all, I'm like, the Democrats that you're talking about, they infiltrated and became Republicans. So start there. Like, doing like a true Trumpster and giving half truth or not giving the whole story of what's happening. And so my question is, why is it not clear to these people that this man is turning this into a dictatorship? Not only that, but that he's insane. Why is that not clear?
Point though, there are some sources that suggest that he might receive 15 to 25% of the black male vote. Now, this, of course, was before the coronavirus kicked in. I don't know where that stands now, but I know prior to March, he was somewhere between 15 to possibly 25% of the black male vote. Right? So how do you explain that to your point, Candace?
Yeah, let me explain it this way. Remember, there have always been black folks who revere master. So even during the Civil War, there were black people who fought for the Confederacy openly and willingly because they thought the North had no chance. So you got to account for those people, like Minister Vic was talking about. You got people 15%. You ain't gonna never reach those guys. You're never gonna reach them. And then we talk about a virulent 30% of whites who will never ever. They want to break this country. They don't care about blackness. They don't care about American values. They only care about one thing: the white race. So those individuals have a much powerful. Seemingly much powerful view right now. Sean Hannity.
Mike, I hear what you're saying, but you keep going back away from the point I'm trying to make. And that is, and I hear what you're saying about, the white people that support him because they're going to support him because whatever, they want to uphold this country, racism, blah, blah, blah. But what I'm saying to you now is, let's examine the fact that he has minority votes. He has that. I want to read this comment really quick. I want to read this. Somebody said that black vote over 90% Democrat. The data shows that. And that because many of us do not believe Joe Biden is the answer, if he's the best the other party can offer, then they lose in my mind. And that's another thing, though. And Mike, I know you don't like to have that conversation, but I think we have to be very realistic here. We have to be very realistic. You have a huge segment of the country that is not excited about the thought of Joe Biden being president. And the more we try to avoid that, the more we try to avoid that conversation, the closer we get to November and the more we're playing ourselves. Let's look at the
numbers. Right now, Joe Biden is up 10, 11% in national polls, right? Will we agree with that? Can we agree to that?
Yeah, according
to Joe
Biden
is up 10, 11%. What's that?
Yeah, according to certain polls, you're right.
Joe Biden is up 10 or 11% in national polls. So when we look at the broader spectrum, what we find out is that like the caller talked about, the writer talked about, 90% of us still vote that way. And I don't see this lack of enthusiasm for the Democratic Party, for Joe Biden, for what he talks about. There are tons of Republicans right now falling off the Republican ship. Every day there's a new called the Lincoln Project.
I agree with that. Mike, I'm not here to argue against that point. But what I'm saying is, Mike, I promise you, you are as diehard for the Dems as some of these Republicans are. Because what you refuse to do is have a conversation and examine what is going on in the party. What I'm saying to you, and again, I've clarified millions of times, I am in no way, shape, or form insane enough to vote for Donald Trump. I wasn't the first time. But what I'm saying to you is, can we have an honest conversation where we really examine some of the shortfalls here? Can we have a conversation about people's concerns? Because they have some valid concerns.
Well, I don't doubt that they have valid concerns. That listen, people do have valid concerns.
I think, Candace, we need to have that conversation because as quiet as it's kept, you have, as to your point, you have a lot of people who are skeptical about Joe Biden. Quite frankly, I maintain that he needs to be surrounded by a very effective team of people, and I think his choice of a vice presidential running mate is critical to the success of his campaign. Right? Because he's about 78 years of age, Candace, right?
Right.
Sure.
And so he's probably, if he wins, he's probably going to serve maybe one term.
Right.
Probably not one term.
Right.
So the person who will be the woman who will be his running mate has to be ready day one to hit the ground running. Well, right? And maybe we can transition into that conversation a little bit later on. But I think that's a very critical conversation as well.
But I also, when you bring up polls too, Mike, I think that you're saying that, Joe Biden is up in the poll, but how much of that is I want to vote for Biden and how much of that is I want to vote against Trump? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Listen, I disagree with that.
No doubt.
Listen, I agree with that. There is a lot of that, but Joe Biden is a stable, reliable.
You still can't hear
Mike.
All
the other
Candace,
you still can't hear me?
I think you're raising some great questions here. This is certainly a critical election. This will be a critical election, and no matter what happens, if the Dems win or lose, I think both parties are at a crossroads. To be quite honest with you, and I think that American society is at a crossroads as well. And I think that it's best for us to have this conversation now in Black America.
And that's all I'm saying, Vic, is can we do this up front?
Yeah.
Because I think the wrong way to go into this is, I really feel like the wrong way to go into this is we've got to be quiet about our grievances because we don't want anybody to. But I feel like when you do that, you put yourself in another hole with the next president. You know what I'm saying? Let's just have this conversation up front.
What are your grievances?
Absolutely.
What are your grievances?
Absolutely.
What are your grievances?
No doubt about that. We still can't hear Mike, though. We still can't hear Mike.
I can hear Mike. I'm just ignoring.
You can hear Mike?
Mike is asking me what are my grievances. I can hear.
That's all the question. What are your grievances?
Hold on, let me read some of these Facebook comments for you, Mike. I got a couple Facebook comments for you.
I'm gonna come back to the question because you're ignoring it.
Shardy says, I believe Joe Biden is very much qualified to be the president, and whatever he said and did 20-something years ago in regards to policy and legislation, I believe he has evolved and changed for the better in terms of his mindset. We have a Facebook user who said a couple of things, but the enthusiasm to vote for him is down. It's more of an anti-Trump vote. It's a big lack of enthusiasm on behalf of the Democratic Party, especially with Biden. One of Biden's day one items is to address redress for immigrants. What about Black people? That right may cost Biden the election. I think Victor is right here. Whoever is Joe's running mate will need to be ready to be president on January 20, 2021. Yes. Shardy said, I would like to know how come many weren't saying anything negative concerning Vice President Biden when he was second in command of the country when President Obama was in office 8 years ago. Let's see. And then
that's my concern. That's my concern. So can you hear me? Everybody hear me right now, right? All right. So that's my concern.
I still can't hear Mike.
Vic, try muting your phone when Mike is talking. See if that works.
Okay.
All right. So what we're picking up on is Russian propaganda points. Joe Biden beat us.
That's interesting.
Other Democratic candidates.
There we go.
He beat everybody else out. Vote. So look, that's the candidate. Now, let me say this. People didn't like
all. Oh my God.
They didn't like Trump back in the day,
I still
but they
can't hear
all
him
aligned
when I
behind
mute my mic.
Now, we want to talk about the vice presidential candidate and other people like that. Let's have that conversation. But
I can hear him. I'll tell you what he said. I can hear him.
I'm rolling with Joe. I'm standing behind Joe. Joe's doing the right thing. He's coming out making strategic points. He's coming out making great commercials. Joe is pumping and rolling in your grandmama's car. Don't get me wrong, but that's got a 350 engine in it. And if you got to pick up the pace, he can do that. But I think what Minister Vic talked about is very crucial. We do need to find out who the running mate is. I keep hearing Elizabeth Warren. I'm hearing Tammy Duckworth. I'm hearing all these other names pop up. But I think it should be Kamala Harris. That's my pick, right? I may be wrong about that. With Val Demings from Florida. Right now, we can lock down Florida. We got Val Demings from Florida. We got California, so that may be a reason not to bring in Kamala Harris. I think we also need to talk about what we got to secure the vote. We keep talking about what's wrong with Biden and all this other stuff.
So long story short, Vic, long story short, Mike said, first thing he said was we're doing Russian bot talking points. Second thing Mike said was the running mate is going to be important. He went through all of the possible running mates, said how we could lock down Florida if we picked that running mate. Third thing he went through was basically he went back to his dim talking points of stay in line with the party.
No.
I'm giving you the long end, the short end.
But let me bring another point. Let me bring another point up because this point is important, Candace. See, we're Americans. Americans like winners. So you still talk about
Mike
those
is
individuals
today, man.
Hold on. Those individuals who why would those people deal with Trump? Because he's perceived as a winner. America loves winners, whether they win by hook or crook. They love winners. So some of these people love a strong man aspect of things. They love a winner. So you got to look at that point too. So Joe Biden and Donald Trump, who's going to be the winner? We got to be careful of talking about Trump, who's losing in coronavirus, who's losing on healthcare, who's losing on job, who's losing on the economy.
This is the thing, Mike. This is the thing. You keep telling us, and Vic, I don't know if you heard him, but long story short, he's back to his dim talking points of be careful what you say, be careful that you don't make Trump look good. The thing is, nobody is applauding Trump through any of this. Wait. We literally say how he's failing this country every week. We say it every time you turn around. Nobody's giving him credit for anything good. Okay? All we're simply saying is, Mike, this is why we don't have any progress in this country. I'm getting a little frustrated here. And the fact that you're telling me just be quiet and go with your guy because you don't want this other guy to win. When I'm saying to you, you're not in any danger of me voting for the person that's already in office because I didn't vote for him the first time. But what I'm not going to sit here and do is act like we don't have a segment of the population that is unenthused about the dim presumptive nominee. I want us to be able to have an honest conversation about that, where we're not dismissive and where we're not saying just be quiet until he gets in office.
And I agree with you, Candace, because didn't we do this? And look, I love President Obama, right? But for 8 years, practically, didn't we cast an uncritical eye upon President Obama in the African-American community, right? And there are many victories we could have gained otherwise, but because we went silent and didn't challenge him and make him do the job that we wanted him to do, I think we didn't get as far as we could have gotten with him in office.
So this is my thing, Mike. We can't read that. Your connection is bad, so we can't even read that. So anyway, we can't read it. He said, "I'm not telling you to be quiet." Anyway, he said, "I'm telling you to focus." Whatever, Mike. So, but what I'm saying to you,
to get off his grass.
Listen, a couple of comments in the a couple of Facebook comments were saying that that it wasn't that people weren't on Biden, it was just that President Obama's he was so big, his charisma, his persona was so big that it overshadowed Biden. And another thing was, we didn't question whether or not President Obama was young enough, whether he was what is the word I'm looking for, that because I'm not trying to be insulting to Joe Biden, whether or not he was wait. There are a lot of questions on Joe Biden's head that weren't there before, because again, the persona of Barack Obama was so big.
Yeah. True.
All right, so let me say this.
True.
We spent 20 minutes talking about a 77-year-old man who's in better shape than 90% of 77-year-olds.
Some obvious questions that we need to raise, right? As it relates to Biden, the health issue, the mental spryness, right?
Let me tell you why I'm gonna split the baby on this health issue. You want me to tell you why I'm gonna split the baby on this health issue?
Okay.
Let me tell you why I'm gonna split the baby. Hold on. Let me tell you why.
Split the baby?
Because let me tell you why I'm gonna split the baby on this health issue. Because I'm pretty sure Donald Trump's not healthy. He's just lying. Talk about that's the best doctor's report anybody ever seen. Stop playing. And you admittedly all you eat is fast food and unhealthy food. Get out of here. So I think if we're going to bring up one person's health, you might as well bring up the other person's health too. If you're going to bring up one person's age, you might as well bring up the other person's age. I think everything that you can say as far as certain things about Joe Biden, you can say about the incumbent. You can say that about the current president. So I think that when Mike gets nervous, about those arguments, it's really, Mike, all you really got to do is say, you can say the exact same thing about Trump.
I'm telling you to focus.
True.
Listen, check this out. I want to make sure we got this clear. Hillary Clinton was younger than both of them are at this particular time 4 years ago. And we heard the same damn nonsense about Hillary. Is she ready? She's not in good shape. She's this, she's that, she's a woman. She ain't focused. Her mind ain't right. All these nonsense talking points. What I'm saying is we need to focus on one thing and one thing only. Not letting Trump steal the election. He is trying to steal the election.
He's already stealing it, though. You see what he's doing with the post office. You see the way that he's trying to suppress votes.
Yes.
You see the way that he's stacking the courts. You see the way that he removed one prosecutor from the Southern District of New York who was going to prosecute him. You see that he's already making his move. My question is, why is nothing happening to really counter it? Because he's already showing his hand every step of the way.
Well, hold on.
That's an excellent question, Candace. What are the Dems doing to counter the chess moves that he's making right now? What are they doing? Right?
You know what?
This election
let me ask you
could potentially be as messy as the one that occurred between not Trump, Bush and Gore. And it may even be more amplified, especially if it's a closer election. If it's a close election, this could be ugly. Trust me on this one. And this is what he wants. He wants a dog fight. He wants a street fight, right? He doesn't want a nice gentlemanly engagement of the issues. He wants a street fight, right? And my question, based on what you just got through saying, is Biden and the Dems up to it?
But here's the thing, though, right?
Hold on, wait a minute. Hold on. Let's make sure we got this right here. Let me make sure I got this right. The Democratic Party, by numbers, has won every election since 2001. You just mentioned about Bush. We've won those elections, but we've lost on lies in 2000 because Gore won Florida. Let's put that aside. He won about 100,000 votes in Florida with votes they didn't count. Let's fast forward to 2016. Hillary Clinton beat him by 16, about 3 million. So we won the election. We can win the election. What we have to drill down deep is stop focusing on nonsense, but worried about talking about Russian talking points. Let's talk about really one thing.
You know what's crazy, Mike? Let me tell you something. Let me tell you what's crazy, right? Let me tell you what's crazy. Let me tell you what's crazy, Mike. How you keep being insulting and saying anybody with an opinion contrary to what you're saying is a Russian talking point. That's insulting.
Am I insulting you here? by talking about talking points and Russian talking points? Is that an insult to you?
That my talking points are not Russian talking points. I don't know if we've met, but I'm not Russian, and I haven't talked to any Russians. I know it's crazy. I know it's crazy to believe that you have run into a dim who has their own mind. That's bananas. I know. That makes no sense. That's not how this is supposed to work.
Facebook, because of Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook is inundated every day with Russian talking points. And then if you try to engage these Russian talking points, you try to get shouted down by people saying, hey, you're just a Democratic shield. You're just talking Democrat. But I'm trying to let you know how mind games work, how the CIA tactics work, how the Russian GRU works. This is what they do when they put out tactics. Now, it used to be they had to infiltrate you with people inside the system. Now they just infiltrate your Facebook posts, and they start talking about bad things about Biden.
Okay, but this is the thing. This is the thing, though. You're saying that, but let me tell you why that is insulting to me, though, Mike. That's insulting to me because what you're saying is my mind is being manipulated. When you and I see each other all the time, I think we're very clear on the fact that my mind's not being manipulated by any Russian talking points. I have a problem. I'm going to air out my grievances, and I don't care if you don't like it.
I don't get insulted when you try to say my mind is manipulated by the Democratic Party. Don't get insulted by me saying that your talking points align with Russian talking points.
I didn't say your mind was manipulated. I said you are the manipulator. I didn't say your mind was manipulated. I said you're the one trying to do the manipulation. Get it right. Get it right.
That was breaking the general. So listen, I want to talk about what Trump is.
Let me pose a question to Mike through you, Candace, because I still can't hear Mike.
Go ahead.
But what is the concern, right, Mike? What is the concern that Mike has with people airing their grievances as it relates to where the Democratic Party is right now?
I'm going to tell you right now, I don't even need him to answer. His concern is people that are not as solid as we are and how we're going to vote and what we're going to do, that their minds will be swayed and they will either A, go vote for Trump or B, not vote at all. And so Mike is trying to avoid having a Trump presidency. And so in order to avoid having a Trump presidency, you have to do your best to stay away from persuading people whose minds are not made up or making people want to go vote for Trump or making people not vote at all, which is a vote for Trump.
But
Mike's trying to avoid that.
Say, Candace and Mike, isn't this,
can you hear me now,
are these questions in line with this current season of activism? Because I'll tell you, when you look at the world stage, not just America, but the world stage, people all over the world are protesting against their governments, right? And what I would say to the Dems is that even though people are protesting against Trump and his policies, they could easily turn the tide against you if you don't do the right thing, right?
Well, I agree with that.
That tells me that people are thinking for themselves and are questioning what the governments are doing, the various governments of the world are doing right now during this season, as they should.
All right, so we're falling back into the same rabbit hole. Can you hear me now, Minister? Because I logged out and came back. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
You can't hear me.
I can hear you now.
You hear me now? Oh, good. So let me say, we're falling back into the same rabbit hole. We're moving forward, but we're not really making any progress. People are in the streets grieving in Portland and other places, but are we making progress? Where's the legislation? What's happening? I'm a military guy, so like Candace said, she's right in this essence. You have to decide we got to fight the battle. And at some point, listen, everybody's got their points and opinions, but then we have to decide we got to move forward. And what is the mission? We've got to get this enemy out of the White House, or else we lose the ship. Now we can talk all day about, well, I don't know, that missile might be a 5.355 missile. Missile might be coming from the left or coming from the right. But do we have countermeasures in place? Let's talk about countermeasures for him stealing our election. Let's talk about what we need to do when if he tries to crash the stock market. If he does,
you didn't hear us say he's doing all these tactics. You didn't hear the fact that we brought up the fact that now 100 people in Florida, hundreds of people in Florida, their vote has already been disenfranchised, and we're not even in November. Like we talked about that. Did I not literally say run down everything that Donald Trump is doing and then said where are the countermeasures? I literally said that.
And that's critical, Mike.
Exactly.
Mike, you need to answer that question, bro. Mike, you're the super Democrat here. You need to answer that question about where are the Dems counter moves to Trump's moves? Where are they at, man? What are they doing?
Now let me can I talk now? Exactly. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Go ahead, man. The floor is yours.
Listen, I'm working right now with groups on the ground trying to get out the vote. But if I've got to argue with somebody every time I try to knock on the door and say, listen, we got to get this man out of office. Let's get behind Biden. Let me have you volunteer. Well, I don't know. I was watching Facebook the other day, and they said Biden ain't doing nothing. He ain't doing this. Now I got to fight these talking points and this nonsense all day long. But let me say this. Let's talk about solutions. We know what Trump is doing, sort of, but we don't know all the aspects of what he's doing. This man is setting up a purging voter rolls, and Democratic parties and Republican legislative bodies, we should be pressuring the Michigan legislative body right now to make sure that those things don't happen in Michigan. Right? We put a Democratic state. Georgia, it's like we want to make sure every vote is counted. We should be doing that. Those are the things, just some of the things. I got a whole list and a plethora of things we need to be doing is putting in countermeasures to make sure this election is safe and the vote is counted and everybody's.
I mean, Mike, real quick, because you talk about you got 100 countermeasures. We done asked you and you ain't gave us one. You talk about standing at somebody's door.
I just gave you two.
That's not a countermeasure.
I just gave you two. Oh my goodness! All right, so
what were the two, Mike? What were the two? Because all I heard you say, you were standing on the porch arguing with people. So what were the two?
Okay, I'm gonna say it again. I am a part of organizations and groups that are working on to get out the vote. And I mentioned that an example to say this: if we're talking about getting out the vote right now, we have to have all hands on deck. There are organizations and groups that we all should be aligned with. And everybody should be bringing in individuals to get out the vote. We have to have overwhelming numbers to get out the vote. That's number one. Number two, we should be lobbying and making sure that we fight every legislative body. In Michigan, we got the Secretary of State. I mentioned that. I hope you heard me before, but I'm going to say it again. We got a Democratic who's the Secretary of State. We should be pressing that individual, and she's doing a good job so far, making sure the legislative issues that she puts out, vote by mail, all those things are secured. I'm working on that too. But in places like Georgia, in places that have Secretary of States who are Republican, we have to go to those Secretary of States, go to those places in Georgia, and knock down those doors to get legislation passed right now as we speak to make sure the vote is assured.
So I would assume that you are either already gassed up to hit the highway when you get off the show, or you already have your plane ticket to head to Florida to do that, right?
No, I'm talking about Georgia, for example, but I'm making phone calls. You absolutely right. Black folks, hey, check it out. Y'all hold on a minute. Keep talking. I got something for you.
You know what, Vic? He is making this too easy today. He is making this too easy. Let's read some of these Facebook comments.
Absolutely.
Let's see. Somebody said that this election will be really ugly, and that's why I'm physically going to the polls to vote, because I don't trust what is happening in the mail system. Somebody said, Candace, I've been told I'm not black because I don't spew the Democrat Party line. Somebody else said, rushing talking points, stop it. This ain't it. Somebody else said the people of Florida need to protest against their governor because of the reckless decisions he's making by forcing the students to physically return to school and vetoing funding for their schools, according to an article that was written in Political. And then another Facebook user said, please ask Mike, if the state doesn't purge the rolls of dead voters, then how trustworthy is the voter registration database?
All right, so can y'all hear me? Y'all see the shirt? Y'all see the shirt? All right, so listen, this is what I'm saying. Black Voters Matter is an organization that I'm working with right now. They're based out of Atlanta. They're working on these things. If you only got $2, $3, we should be making sure those folks go into these cities and townships and these rural areas in Georgia and fund the GOTV effort. We got to do that. So when I say this, the black voters matter, and we should be getting everybody black out. I ain't finna sit here and argue about whether Joe Biden had crossed his hair to the left, whether he's speaking sounds real strong, whether he's a 7-year-old man who's out there jogging and running. He's in his basement. He's got his mask on. He's talking and saying the right things. And Trump is scared to debate him. I ain't talking about that. What I'm talking about is what can we do right now to make sure we get the vote out?
Mike, I'm telling you right now, should I ever run for like the highest office in the land, I'm putting you on CNN on my behalf, buddy. I'm putting you on CNN on my behalf. You are going to be my first call, okay? Because I'm telling you, the way you are spinning this thing. Look, Mike is spinning so hard, the earth is moving because of him. Don't spin that world, Mike. Don't spin it. I am not mad at you. I'm telling you, I'm going to put you on CNN on my behalf. I'm going to do it.
There you go. But Mike, I got to say this, Mike, I think you're raising some great points, but we can multitask, man. Have faith in the people, man. Trust the people. So you're saying that you don't trust the intellectual ability and capacity of the people to think for themselves.
Let me say that. So y'all don't cut me off. Let me answer this question. In the short term, no, because the people are fickle. In the long term, of course, I trust the people because we understand that folks giving the right amount of information to make solid decisions. But this is why democracy is what it is, because people make brash decisions. We put Donald Trump in 4 years ago. Now everybody understands. Oh man, we don't need that dude in. I had to argue with young people who, just like I'm arguing with young people right now today on this show, I had to argue with young people 4 years ago. Hey man, don't go with Trump. He's a shyster. He shouldn't be for you. Oh man, he gonna lower my taxes. I'm a business owner.
Let me pause you there. You're not arguing with any young people about voting for Trump. I'm not even going to let you play me like that. I think we both know I didn't vote for him the first time. I think it's ridiculous. I was insulted that Hillary even had to debate that toddler. I'm not voting for him this time. Stop being ridiculous. I'm just simply saying, Mike, let me read this comment from a Florida resident real quick because I don't have time for this. Somebody said, I live in Florida. The governor's order says schools need to be open. Parents are given the choice to have their children attend in person or virtually. Shardy said, you all are another thing I noticed with both the current Senate and certain legislators is that quickly Juno up and leave for a seasonal break so that they won't have to vote on passing a very important piece of legislation until after they return. Has anyone noticed that? Yeah, Shardy, they got to get together and make them deals. Then what they do, they got to take a break. They got to make those deals. They got to iron out how they're going to do this when they get on the floor. That way, when it's time for the political grandeur and grandstanding, they can act like we put in this tough fight, but the deal's already been made. They're going to pass that second stimulus package, Shardy. It's coming. You just got to wait for it. The Senate is going to vote for it. We're just waiting for them to pass the HEROES Act at this point. The same thing with the extension of unemployment. It's coming, but they're just playing.
Absolutely. All right. So this is where I disagree with you, Candace, a little bit. Let me. You said split the baby. I don't like splitting the baby, but I might throw him out with the bathwater. So here's what I'm saying to you, Shari, you right on point, brother. So here's what we're dealing with right now. The Republicans are trying to get everything they can get by not making anything move. The Democrats are saying, we need stimulus. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
The Democrats are saying, look, we need stimulus now. My people are hurting. They're getting evicted. The car notes are due. People are getting the water turned off. We need help right now. The Republicans are saying, nah, that's all right. We're gonna let you eat Goya beans. We're gonna work it out a bit so we can get what we want.
Right.
And people have to realize this is how the sausage is made, and the sausage is made in the midst of this happening right now. We right now, but let's not wait till the people come back in session. Right now, when they come into meetings in the neighborhood, we should be pounding on their doors, knocking on their doors, saying, "This is what we want." That's how you make the sausage in the way that we want to have the sausage made, and the sausage tastes like we want it to taste. But if we keep messing around with Mitch McConnell, we're going to lose again, and then we're going to be fighting this fight.
That is on that lovely state that he represents to do their job and get him out of there.
No, it's not. Hold on, wait a minute, Candace. I take that back because I've already given money to the lady who's running against him. I can give money to her. You can give money to her.
No, I'm not talking about that part. This is my thing. Okay, you can give all the money you want to, but if they don't vote him out, you done flushed it down the toilet.
That's not
true. They have to vote him out.
That's not true. You might have some of the legislative body come with that on coattails. You might have local legislative leaders come down on coattails. You might have a secretary of state who can block some of the stuff.
What I'm saying to you, because I hear what you're saying, those people, at the end of the day, those people got to show up and vote him out.
That's the point I'm trying to make. And you get the GOTV together when you have money. This is why Republicans keep beating us. They got dollars upon dollars on dollars, stacks on stacks on stacks, racks on racks on racks every day. And we sit here talking about the semantics of how somebody looks or whatever. Put some money in it.
Who said something about how somebody looks? See, Mike, every time I try to give you a break and let you talk, you start off making sense, then you float into that nonsense. Nobody said anything about how anybody looks. Let me tell you, if I did not know that you were a diehard Democrat, I would believe you were a Republican, the way you constantly try to shift and add words and say things that people didn't say. Like, Mike, come on. Yeah. Be better than that, Mike. Be better than that. Be better than that. Be better than that.
So listen.
Told you, look at that. He just proved my point. He just proved my point.
Look,
he just proved my point. He just proved my point.
The question, Mike, is what do those black voters want? That's the question. You want to tell them what they want? Or you want to hear from them?
Right.
Right? I'm a firm believer, man, that you got to persuade the people. You got to put forth an effective case. That's what the Democratic Party needs to do.
Did you ask
In fact, I'm going to agree with Candace. Look, the Democratic National Committee needs to hire you, Mike, and put you on MSNBC, CBS, NBC, MSNBC.
They need to hire Mike. Because let me tell you,
you're doing
a better point. Mike.
You're doing a better job at arguing their talking points than they are, Mike.
No. But Mike is the first one that'll tell you arguing somebody else's talking points. But Mike he's die hard about them talking points. Mike will not deviate. And if in the likelihood that you make a point that makes sense, Mike will sit up and hold up a shirt that ain't got nothing to do with what you're talking about. And nobody say black folks didn't matter, Mike. What are you talking about?
Candace. So you tell me Black Voters Matter has nothing to do with what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Huh? It has everything to do with what I'm talking about. Black Voters Matter is intricately connected to Main Street and ML King Street. If we don't understand that the black voters vote matters and we got to get our black folks out to vote, you don't understand the connection.
Vic, help me out. Did you say black voters didn't matter?
No,
did you say black people didn't vote? Did I say that? Did I say that?
No, you didn't.
Who said it? Who said it?
He made that up.
He did. He pulled that out the air. Mike, you pulling focus. We still got a question on the table from the beginning of the show that you ain't answered, Mike. We're not mad at you. We understand when we talk to you that we getting them talking points. We got it. We know.
I'm a guy that's exactly not like to keep the question unanswered. Candace, what question do you have with me that I haven't answered yet? I want to make sure I answer it before we leave off this.
What did you say?
What you said, I haven't answered a particular question. What question would you need for me to answer? Because I want to make sure before we leave this show, I've answered all your questions so you can go forward and make sure the black voters matter. What question do you need answered?
Make sure that black voters matter. Ain't that funny? You see how he put that twist on the end? Mike,
no doubt.
I'm about to turn this tape in as your audition tape for the party. They need to put you as a pundit. You need to be on CNN. They need you, baby. They need you.
Okay. Well,
that's crazy. And what happens is Mike does, and look, Vic, Mike does like the Republicans do. They throw something out there that if you don't acknowledge, if you say something to it, he's gonna be like, so are you saying black voters don't matter? Like, I'm a black woman. Quit playing with me. Stop playing. I'm a black woman who gets on live every night trying to make sure that people are informed. So you're not going to be able to make me go down that road and make it seem like I think somebody's vote doesn't matter, because I'm constantly trying to get people to vote. I'm constantly trying to get people to be informed and educated. So you got to go run these little lines and talking points with somebody else. You got to go try to distract somebody else. My questions still stand. because you want to keep making it seem like white people are going to be the only ones voting for Trump, and they're not. They're not. And the same way you're saying black voters matter, you got a lot of black people that's lining up to vote for Trump. They're saying, I thought you said my vote matter. I thought you said black voters matter. So does their vote not matter because they're not voting how you want them to vote? So their vote doesn't matter then, right? Then their vote doesn't matter because they're not voting how you want them to vote. Their vote doesn't matter, right? Does their vote matter?
May I answer? I don't know if it was Shardy or somebody else said that 90% of the black vote is going to the Democrats, right? So we're talking about 2%, and you're focusing on the 2%. And I'm talking about focusing.
No, I'm not focusing on the 2%. I'm not. My original question to you, what you're trying to do is pull focus from the fact that I said you got a lot of people that are going to vote for Trump that are not white. And what I said to you was, why do you think that is? Why are we in this predicament? And the next thing, the very next thing that you did, you started spouting rhetoric to me rather than having a real conversation about people's valid concerns.
2% is not a lot, Candace. 2% is not a lot. I want you to know that. I know you're highly intelligent. You're brutally honest. 2% is not a lot. There's 90% that we need to be focusing on. Why are you talking about the 2% who are lost?
I hear you, Mike. So basically, at the end of this conversation, all Mike said was black voters matter unless you're voting against what he's telling you to vote for. And Mike also said that it doesn't matter if you have a valid grievance. Do not air it because we need you to fall in line for this election. Even though you not airing your grievance is going to get you right in the same spot of you still have nothing coming because you didn't fight for your agenda up front. I hear you, Mike. I hear you, Mike. I'm with you. I hear you. I'm sitting in a jail. Look, I'm sitting in a jail in Birmingham, Alabama, writing a letter right now. Dear Mike, how long should I wait? How long should I wait, Mike?
You have a chance to Berkeley. You have a chance. You have a chance with Inslee. You have a whole other people in, right? That time is over. Let's roll and get it done. Let's get the job done. And so that's the thing I want to talk about more or less than anything else.
I hear you. I am right here in my jail cell in Alabama, writing you a letter, Mike, asking you, Mike, how much longer should I wait?
What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for?
How much longer should I wait, Mike?
Because the question is, what are you waiting for?
Well, apparently, according to you, I need to be quiet about any issues that I have or any concerns I might have.
You need to be quiet. What I'm saying is it's time to rack up the weapons. It's time to get on the front line. It's time to march till November 4th or 8th or whatever the election is. And matter of fact, let me say this to everybody. We better be marching to January 20th because Trump can scuttle the country. And this is what happens in wartime. He can scuttle the ships, crash the economy, send us into a free fall for the next 10 years. And
he's already doing all of that. He's already doing all of that.
So let me say this. Because he's incompetent, it's happening. But he's not doing it deliberately.
Yes, he is.
Deliberately.
Yes, he is.
All right, okay.
But see, Mike, here's a point I'd like to raise, man. This is my view of leadership. I think it should be organic, right? Ideally, if I were to lead an organization, I would want people from every spectrum, every school of thought who would be housed in that leadership bull room, right? Because sometimes success and progress comes through friction. In other words, I need you and Candace to be arguing each other, debating each other, whatnot. That brings out the best in Candace and the best in you. And then the revelation will come out of that supposed disagreement, right? I don't need anybody to walk in lockstep with me because I can't trust that person. If you don't have the guts enough to tell me how you feel to my face, I can't trust you. And I don't want you around me if I'm a leader. I want people who are brutally honest, right?
That's right. So listen, I totally agree with you. What I'm saying is steel sharpens steel. I'm with that. That whole process matters to me. What I am saying is, all right, what wins the day? Biden sharpening, Kamala sharpening her knife, everybody sharpening knife, and we had everybody come in, and the old man Joe came out to knife fight. right?
Mike.
Okay.
You got
Yes.
10 seconds. Wrap it up. Literally
Yes,
10 seconds. 10 seconds. We're closing out the show. What's your 10 seconds? Let's go. 10 seconds.
Black voters matter. It's about us. It's about us. It's about us.
Okay,
it's about
perfect.
us.
Vic, let's go. 10 seconds.
Absolutely. For the people, if we want leadership, look in the mirror. There's your leadership. You are the leaders you're looking for.
I'm going to take my 10 seconds to say that I agree with Mike. Not with Mike, but with Vic. We the people. We the people. We the people. We'll be back here next week at 5 p.m. with Whose Opinion Is It Anyway with Candace.
And Victor.
And Mike, unfortunately, will be back next week as well. Bye-bye.
We got to talk about music.